Grace Romo representing Marine spouses. And our very own, I got a resource for that, Miss Anna Bruner, our Navy spouse, and our veteran and Navy spouse, Miss Nye Cruz. And Air Force, Miss Lori Waddell, and our Army National Guard spouse, Miss Julie Provost. We want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, USAA and Make Me Awesome, for making this happen this year. And now, let's get ready to spill the tea.
Hey everyone, welcome to our show tonight of the tea. We are going to be talking about geobatching or not to geobatch. That's our question for tonight. So we're going to go over what geobatching is, how BAH plays a role in it, why we would do it, and what things to consider when thinking about doing it. So conversation starters, how many of you have actually geobatched before? Nishita? Okay. Julie, you have too? How many times? Once? 3 times, Nishita? Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Okay, so I don't know if everybody knows what geobatching is. Oh, hey, Sybil! Hey! Sybil is in true military fashion dealing with Packers at the moment. So she's going to slide in and out as she can. And I'm going to kind of host an intro. No promises on how this is going to go, but we're going to do it anyway. So geobatching, if you don't know what that is, it is living in a different place. I don't know what the true definition is, but we're just going to summarize here. It's living in a place different than your spouse when they have to go on orders.
But not
that can be them being. Wait, say that again.
But it's not a not in a deployment.
Right. Yeah, not a deployment. So on regular PCS orders.
Geo-bachelor assignment orders.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so they could be overseas, you could be stateside, they could be somewhere stateside and you're just on the other side. You can be anywhere, just not where they are. And you're living in different places. So Nishita, where are the different places that you guys have geobatched, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, well, just the same. When we were in Italy, it was kind of like he was a geo-bachelor because the ship moved from Gaeta to Croatia.
Okay.
So the ship was there for more than 6 months. So
wow.
To me, that's kind of it's kind of geobatching, but it's not because it was a shorter period of time. It was like a year or something like that, almost. But he came back and forth sometimes, and we went there sometimes. And some spouses went to live there for certain periods of time, but I didn't do that. But that was like a pseudo one, right? Kind of fake. But we were in Italy a lot by ourselves. Then the other two, when we left Italy, our orders got messed up. So we ended up coming here because the orders got changed from Norway to Bahrain. And I was like, and our paperwork got messed up. And I was like, I'm just going to dip out to the crib. I went home. I was like, I'm going home. So I didn't go to Detroit, but I came to Ann Arbor. Mm-hmm. And then we were here the 2 years. He did just the unaccompanied tour. So he was a geo-bachelor there. Then for my son's senior year, since my husband's so close to retirement, he's doing his last couple of years in Bahrain again. And then we came back to Ann Arbor so my son could graduate. So that's a couple of times. So we'll be here for, about 2 years.
Wow, super interesting. It always amazes me how everybody's journey is different. Yes, we're all military spouses, but we all experience completely different things and similar things all in the same time frame. Julie, how did you guys do about it?
So for us, he went over to Germany and me and my son were in Kentucky, and he was in the barracks while we waited on. It was we didn't choose to do it. We were waiting on all the paperwork and everything. So we could eventually join him in Germany. And we didn't know how long it was going to be, just indefinitely until everything got sorted.
Yeah. Well, if all of our viewers, if you guys want to comment, if you have geobatch, are you going to geobatch? Would you ever consider it? Let us know in the comments. I'm very curious. I think I don't know what the stats are. I'm very curious of what the stats would be of who would be willing to geo-batch, what your reasons are, who are like, heck no, I'm never doing that. I know Sybil's kind of on that boat, hence her Packers right now. But it's just really interesting to me on what those stats could be. But I want to go into the first kind of like sub question to that, and that's BAH. There's a lot of misconception that you make more money when you're geobatching, and we're just gonna cut that right there because you don't. Your BAH does not increase because you're geobatching. You will still get your same amount, and you do have to pay for different living expenses. I mean, you think when you're PCSing to one place altogether, right? All your living expenses are in one place, and when you geobatch, now you have two different households, or just different living situations that you have to deal with. And I think something to talk about too is like in the Marine Corps, you used to be able to geobatch and your service member could stay in the barracks. That used to be a thing. You pay a small amount, you're paying in the barracks. It was a thing. Now you cannot. It is very, very, very rare to even be able to do that. So if you are going to geobatch, you're all on your own financially of figuring out where your living situations are going to be. So yeah, that's a no for Marine Corps. At least recently, it's been like that. What's up, Nishida? What are you thinking over there?
Because in the Navy, I don't know why the Marine Corps is different, but in the Navy, he gets a BAH and I get BAH. So as long as I don't exceed the BAH in my area, then we're good. Especially if I can stay underneath the cap, whereas all the bills are absorbed underneath the cap into the everything. I feel like we get off a little better geobatching than we do just regular staying together. And like even though our rates are kind of substantial, it still works out because we're still under our cap level. So it all depends on your rank. It all depends on your situation and like where you're living also, because every zip code has a different amount of BAH. So it's not just one standard. So like here, we get more BAH than maybe like one of our other counties, and then in other cities in Michigan, but then maybe less than downtown Detroit. But it's because of the cost of living. You know what I'm saying? So it's like adjusted to that. So it really depends on where we're living. So that's what I would say, that some people are not going to make it very well, and especially enlisted lower ranking people will probably suffer, I think, because of the cap of the BAH. But some people
that's true. That's very
true. Parents, because you get added to their lease, then you turn the lease, then your parents really going to charge you. I don't know. Some parents, but
like they might charge you $100.
Yeah,
it's like there's different ways to manage it. But in some instances, you will lose out. You will be scrimping and scraping, whereas in other instances, you might make out ahead. That's what
you said. Grace, if they aren't allowed to stay in the barracks, then they have to get they have to rent a room, at least rent a room.
Well, but you get and I don't know if it's because it's overseas and here, but even when we were in the States and we had to separate, they offered us, and we were enlisted, they offered us housing where I was at in Michigan. He had to go to school, and they offered him to stay wherever he needed to stay. So I'm not sure, but we didn't we didn't do that, but that was way back in like 2007. So
yeah, I think that also falls into like what the situation is. So if it's just a plain PCS where you are fully able to go and there's housing and everything's available and you're choosing not to go, then you don't get any additional benefits or split benefits at all. Now, if it's a situation like that, him or her are going to school, or they're going unaccompanied, all those things play different factors, and your BH is going to look a little bit different, and your benefits and stuff. But if it's
in the Marine Corps,
no. If it's at least that's I don't know how y'all's branches are, but that's for us. But if it's a choice, a specific choice of like, I don't know, we're in Texas, say my husband goes to the East Coast, but I want my kiddos to stay here in school, and I'm choosing that, we wouldn't get any additional or split BAH. We would get whatever it is for his duty station, and we'd have to make fit with that. Now, there's tiny exceptions of like, you know, you can file for like school exemptions and stuff like that, but that's a whole slew of paperwork you have to do in order to do that. But it's just not easy for the Marine Corps. It's a little bit more difficult to do that. And like I said, it's probably different for a lot of different branches. I'm going to go to Angela's comment. She said that she did it once voluntarily and once involuntary. I feel like that is mil-spouse life right there, right? Sometimes we choose, sometimes we don't. And she's not counting the times that he went ahead while they sold the house. And that's a lot of things too. With Anna, you know, I'm sorry, with Julie, she was saying that, you know, they intended to go and they just didn't know when. And that happens a lot too. Sometimes they just have to go ahead because of the reporting date, and you end up geo-batching for a small amount of time. That's definitely a thing.
Yeah, the first time we went, it was not voluntary either. But then I was like, oh, this is okay. Then this time I was like, do that again.
No, I was like, okay, if we ever, like, we are never going to be apart if we have the choice. If it's up to us, we're not going to be apart.
Yeah.
I was like that too.
That's just how I felt.
But now at my age, I'm just like, this is okay. Like, but younger me was like, oh no, we are not doing that. I will, you know, but older me, if I could talk to her, I'd be like, girl, shut up. Just you'll be all right. You'll be all right. You'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely for like a personal and situational type of decision, you know, depending on what you are. But I know I feel like most of us kind of enter into it. Hey, Sybil, how's it going? Speechless. All right, we'll take it.
Just absolutely speechless.
I'm back. Oh my God.
We're talking about the BAH factors and geo-batching and kind of how it differs dependent on what the orders are, where they are, what they're for, what branch you're in, the whole deal. And I think we all have the same census of we entered into our mil-spouse space of not wanting to geo-batch, but situations kind of make for different decisions. I'm just reading the comments. Facebook user, who are you?
I laughed at Laura because she's like, Sybil was currently geo-batching. Sybil was getting the movers out of her, getting the packers out of her house.
He was geo-batching our show.
Yeah. Right.
All right. So what did y'all say about the BAH aspect of it?
We were talking about how it depends on one, the branch, two, what the type of orders are. So are they going to school? Are they just a regular normal PCS? Are they overseas? All those different factors, and how it doesn't necessarily save you money. That's just dependent on what your situation is. So Nishita brought up the fact of like some people move back with their parents. Well, in that aspect, you probably won't be paying much rent, if any at all. So you will be saving money. But also comes the factor of you're having two different households if your spouse service member is not in the barracks or they're not providing housing, dependent on the orders. So it's like an iffy, but it's not an automatic, you're going to make a whole nother paycheck. Like that's just not what it is.
So we shouldn't use it as an income stream. That's what
yes, that is very true. It's very different from like deployment, you know, you move back, that type of stuff, because they're already housed and they're doing their own things, their mission, they're doing all that stuff. When you're just choosing the geo-batch, it's definitely a different situation.
Yes. So like we are currently, and I don't even call it geo-batching. So my husband, the reason I'm out of breath right now is he left this morning, headed to Bahrain. And also right before the show went live, he sent me a text saying that his connecting flight, since the flight out of San Diego was delayed, he missed his connecting flight by 5 minutes. And the Packers got here a little late today. They were doing our unaccompanied baggage today, which they're done. It was quick, but still a lot. He's going to be in Bahrain for 2 months prior to us arriving. And we actually did a delayed dependent entry. So our BAH will be covered for June while he is there. But it is not covered. We will not receive San Diego BAH any longer after June 30th. And the reason that we did not go ahead and leave with him was because it's the school year, the end of the school year. If it was Christmas, oh, I would have pulled the kids. I would have. I'd be like, y'all all right.
But you guys have like a couple weeks left, right?
I'm like, we're going to stay put until school is out.
Yeah.
And then we'll head over. And I did hear y'all say something about people choosing to Geo-bach or not. And I know Nishida mentioned that she chose to be to Geo-bach because of her son been in high school. Correct? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, folks, let me tell y'all something. This is the second time we have moved a rising senior. Yep. The first one, 2021. And she is now a sophomore in college. And then this year, we have early orders. And yep, we're pulling our second daughter her senior year as well. And you know why? Y'all want me to tell y'all why? Actually, Grace, go ahead. You leading this conversation today. I come back and I just take over. I have a lot of talking to do.
Well, we'll actually hear back on Simple's point after we head to Anna's segment here in just a few seconds when we get that popped up. We definitely want to hear what Simple has to say about that. She seems to have a lot of experience in it.
Oh, so look, you want Anna's segment now?
I want Anna's segment, please.
Okay. With the cherry on top?
With the cherry on top. You throw some sprinkles on there, some extra whipped cream for your Packers. You know, the whole deal.
Yes.
All right, here we go, Anna.
Self-care. Let's talk about it. That was so quick. So for self-care, last session, we talked about what it meant in the three tiers of self-care, the three pillars of self-care, that there's, you know, the physical, emotional, and mental parts of it. So what we're going to talk about today are the basics. So we're talking about the lowest bar that there is for self-care, and that's where we need to start. So if you are not big on self-care, you got to start somewhere. And so we're going to start at that low bar. So that means things like taking a shower, washing your face, wearing clean clothes. I know this sounds like you're talking to your kids or something, but we all know that we will go a few extra days without showering, maybe a few extra days in the same clothes. It happens to the best of us. There you go.
Do I smell good?
Yeah.
Smell my-
And she brings up a good point, because especially in situations like this where you're so busy in just being that military spouse, where you've got Packers coming and you have kids, or, you know, you're changing jobs and you've got all these things going on, and you're just so exhausted by the end of the day, mentally, physically, emotionally. You know, the last thing you want to do is take the time to shower and dry your hair. So, but it's the first thing you should do. So, always do those basic things first. So take that shower, wash your face, wash your hair, blow dry the hair, put on clean clothes, ladies. We all know we go to bed and we wake up and we're like, oh, this is all right. I just slept in it. I'm just taking my kids to school. Julie, you don't do that. Julie's
Even if I'm gonna wear pajamas, they're brand new pajamas.
She's like, I'm gonna put on clean pajamas. Well, so I think I was talking with another spouse one time about taking your kids to the bus stop, and how I get excited when it's winter, because you can at least put on a coat and cover up what you're wearing. But when it's not winter and you're hot, you're like, dang it.
That's hilarious.
Put on, you know, your undergarments and stuff like that. So that's really the physical part. But for emotional and mental, I think the basic things would be very basic. Just having first of all, alone time where you can just sit and be by yourself, and quiet time, whatever that looks like for you. Whether that's just, which I posted the article. I don't know if anybody saw it. Nobody commented. Came across this article about bed rotting, and they were like, yeah, the Gen Zers, they came up with this bed rotting. And I'm like, no, they didn't. I've been bed rotting for years. Come on.
Yes.
Gen Z's too young to need to bed rot.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that article, scroll through our page and find it, and tell me if you have experience with this bed rotting topic that has come up. But
and the article is in our group, Anna. So
Okay.
if you are not in our Facebook group, Mill Spouse Conversations,
it's where it's at.
where the party is.
It is. It is. So there's one way, but the opposite of being by yourself is just those basic things of talking to somebody else, a friend, a neighbor, the postman. Now, Sybil is great at this. Sybil will go talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. Some of us aren't, some of us more retreat into ourselves and might not be like that, but go have the conversation with somebody. She talks a lot about that, and it's so true. There's even research on how if you're taking a walk and you're talking with someone at the same time, you release all these endorphins and things like that. So even if you're just walking and talking, even if you're on the phone, it doesn't, just somebody call them. I am horrible about calling people on the phone. I have like a phobia of the phone. I don't know what it is. Like, you can get me on text, but I'd rather not be on the phone. I don't know. So, but once you get me on the phone, I'm usually okay. But call your mom, call your, why are you looking at me like that, Sybil?
Because I'm like, what are you afraid of the phone for?
I'm not afraid. I don't know. I'm like, I'm like, how long is this going to take? I don't know.
That's not
Okay.
Voxer. Voxer is my best friend.
Voxer, yeah. Well, usually I think it all turned about because, when you have kids and they're always like screaming in the background and having some issue, I think I got that in my mind. But it's important. And every time I call a dear friend and have a conversation with somebody that I haven't talked to in a while, I always feel better afterwards. And again, that's the lowest bar, meaning just start where you're at. And then you can go from there. Maybe later it means going out to dinner or something like that. But what would you guys have as your like basic lowest bar of self-care? The minimum, ladies, we're going for the minimum. What do you got for me?
I don't take off my wash your butt. Lord have mercy, Sybil. You should be doing that regardless.
Well, I'm with Anna. That's the minimum. But no. I'm big on self-care. I'm gonna take my nap.
She does. Yes. And I do too, because I can't. I take my nap.
I don't always wipe my makeup or wash my makeup at night, which
good.
I need to do better. I forever wash. I mean, I wash my face every single day, but I don't always do it at night.
Yeah.
I do it like as soon as I wake up. So I need to.
So here's a little tip on that. Every time you don't wash your face at night or in the morning, you age yourself by like 7 days. So it's important to just wash all that off because you're like wallowing in it and sitting in it, and it really does. It sinks into your pores and it ages you. So just think of that. And also like, Julie's wearing glasses. I wear glasses. If you look at your glasses, like by the end of the day and they're all nasty and smudgy, even if you don't touch them, it's like, I don't even really touch my lenses or anything, but by the end of the day, they're all gross. That's what's on your face. You got to wash it off, especially if it's like pollen and stuff. So anyway, there was a book years ago, not too long ago, it was called Girl, Wash Your Face. And it's about that. It's like, stop with the excuses. Just do the basics. Wash your face, put on clean clothes, that sort of thing. So yeah. Julie, Nishita, you got anything for us?
I guess. I don't know.
Well, you seemed like you were just could not believe I was talking about not putting on clean clothes. So clearly you put on clean clothes. So there we go. So kudos to you.
Yay! I already have a point.
You get the self-care gold star.
We already hit the second level. So.
You're at the second level. You passed us. Yep.
My basic minimum is just like at least being able to take a short walk
Oh, I love that
Yes,
one.
it does.
Yes. So where we live right now, I can't really go walking. It's not in a neighborhood. We're like basically on a dirt road and we have some land like I can walk around in my backyard. But I used to love living in a neighborhood because if I needed to, I could just get out with I would take my dog and put him on a leash and go walking. And I loved that freedom to just be able to go out and just take a deep breath and walk, even if it was just around the block. That's a good one, Nishita. And that's all I got for you today for some self-care. So let us know in the comments or send us a message about what basic bare minimum you did for some self-care.
Thank you, Anna. That was awesome.
Look, girl, I practice self-care every day, all day.
I gotta get up.
You're like all you do up here. There's no minimum. So.
That's funny.
No minimum. All right, guys, let's go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Don't leave. It's only 21 seconds long.
I was jamming to that, yeah.
I was too. Hey, if you guys have not checked out USAA's military spouse resources, you need to get over there and check it out. USAA.com/military spouse, or go to millspouseconversations.com and there is USAA's logo right there on our homepage. Click there and it will take you straight to their Mill Spouse Resource Hub. And yes, y'all, USAA is our Convolicious sponsor this year. And I'm going to go ahead and spill the tea a little bit, or maybe I'll have Grace spill the tea a little bit about what's happening in October.
We're going to
put it on your calendar now.
Yes, put it on your calendar now. USAA will be joining us live on DT. And we get to talk to them and ask them questions, and they will be chatting with us.
Yes. And then what's happening? That's the first Thursday in October. What's happening the second Thursday of October, Grace?
And back to civil. They're coming back.
They are coming back for the conversation, for our virtual edition of the conversation, which is our virtual event in our private tea room where you get to come in. It is not streamed. It is not recorded. And you will get to talk directly with us and with USAA. You get to talk.
You threw me off because it was the second Thursday instead of the fourth Thursday.
Yeah, you know, girl. I got to keep
you
on
your calendar so you don't forget like I did.
So the 5th and the 12th. All right, Grace, I'm turning it back over to you to lead this conversation since I was MIA. I come in, take over, then I'm like, nope, I don't want it. You got it.
We're going to throw it back. Okay. Do you want to finish telling us about your seniors moving during their senior year? Or do you want to move on?
I'll share about it. Oh, one other thing I want to share as well while I'm thinking about it. We are now on parade deck. So I saw where Mr. Andrew, he is the owner of Parade Deck. He is watching. Hey! Thanks for tuning in. So head over to paradedeck.com/Mill Spouse Conversations. You will be able to catch all of our fabulous episodes there as well, and other great, amazing content. There's tons of other creators, so make sure you check it out. And I'm going to say this to this person that's always commenting that connected us. Laura Torres. Thank you, girl. Thank you. Thank you.
Shout out to Laura.
Yay, Laura.
All right. So to answer your question, Grace, if I can be where my husband is, I'm going to be there. Because these are his children too. If he's not, or if the government says that it's unaccompanied, oh, snap, we're going to be there. Now, so our oldest, we did move from Northern Virginia to San Diego with her senior year. And we learned about a few different avenues to take as a military family. So we ended up doing the military compact clause to ensure she graduated on time. And we actually ended up going back to Virginia for her to graduate with her class in Virginia. And everything turned out fine. She's now in college. She's doing great. She made the president's list her first year. Yes. Yes. Hey, Jasmine!
Wow, good job.
She's upstairs ignoring me. But so our orders for Bahrain, they were cut a year early. And I was like, nope, we're all going to go. And I just take the approach with this military life that it is more important for me for our entire family to be together. Just having that support. I started that from when the girls, before we had kids, right? And so even as the kids were babies, it was like, hey, we're always going to be with daddy. If we can be there, we're going to be there. That's not to say that Ayla, that's our middle daughter, she was a little upset about it because she was looking forward to finishing school here. But I'm like, hey, girl, you'll be fine. And she's okay with it now, with the few demands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just important for my family, for me and my husband, that we're together. It's just, that strong family dynamics, again, for my home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very strong point. Geo-baching it breaks down to very specifically to your family, just like Sybil was saying. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's values are different. Your priorities are different. Everything's different for each family. And I don't think it's wrong or right either way. I think there might be a little bit of shame. I've seen some, we'll call it bullying online, of people being like, well, why didn't you go? You should have went. You're selfish. You're this, you're that. And I'm like, leave them alone. That's their choice, right? That's what's making them happy. That's what works for their family. And when I say family, you don't have to have kids. You don't have to, you know what I mean? It could be you and your spouse. That's totally fine too. You don't have to worry about any of those type of dynamics. Don't let those judgments from the outside affect you.
You can like be like, this is what I would do. Like, I will always do it this way. And then 2 years go by and you find yourself making the opposite decision because so you just never know, just never know.
We were just recently in the throes of making that decision with this current one because we got stunned with some orders back to Northern Virginia, and just the way it was working out was like, well, if with retirement looming and things like that, we just weren't sure what to do. And so we did end up making the decision where we're all going to go because it will be a 2-year commitment. And I felt like, well, 2 years on visitation isn't going to work. So we'll all go. So yeah, it's hard. It's really a hard decision. And the people I know that have done it, I think you just have to go into it prepared and just like you do a deployment with, okay, how are we going to stay in touch and visit and that sort of thing.
Yes, because before coming to San Diego, actually before these orders came up for San Diego out of Northern Virginia, because we knew my husband was going to sea, and we had a choice of Norfolk, San Diego, I think Washington State. And so we were like, if he went to Norfolk, we were going to stay in Northern Virginia. Just because we were like, well, I really didn't want to go to Norfolk.
That's not
but also just the schedule there. So it didn't make sense for our family to go. And then things got crazy for me. And we even were considering, my husband was considering staying in Virginia and not coming to California. And then it was, okay, you stay in Virginia because you already have medical there and come out later. And I was like, nope, I'm going to San Diego with you. And Jasmine was ready to go. She's like, let's roll.
Yeah. I think that's a good point you bring up. Like, if they're the next duty station they're going to, if it's going to be one of those things where they're out on a ship, like or wherever, out every other week, like you said, and why all go? If so, like that is what makes it such a unique decision for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that plays a lot into like things to consider, and that's like careers, both ends. What are they doing? What are you doing? It goes into children if you have them. What does their schooling look like? What do their activities look like? Yeah, I didn't really guess, Angela. I didn't really know much about Parade Deck either until Mill Spouse Conversations. So that is so awesome.
Heard of it. I was like, ooh, that's cool.
Pretty cool. I checked it out. Y'all need to head over there. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, things to consider. So careers, children, financials, housing. Come on, ladies, help me add to the list. What else is there to consider?
I've even heard that like you're at a duty station and you think that this is going to be their last duty station.
Yeah.
House, you get situated, and then the military wants to send them to one more duty station somewhere else. And it's like, we're not going to give up everything that you're going to do long term for 2 years. We're just gonna like deal with it,
Yeah.
Tony, we're here now. Everybody can catch up.
There should have been a Mill Spouse Conversations back in the day. This is great information. That is why I started Mill Spouse Conversations. You get everyday military spouses sharing their experience and opinion. And hey, y'all can come talk to us behind the scenes during the conversation and hear more from us. And as Anna just shared, having conversations with people is great self-care. Just saying.
It is. You're welcome.
Well, let's break it up a little bit. Sybil, you want to throw it to my segment real quick?
No.
Fine. You just won't know what you have in store then. That's okay. We can keep talking.
Y'all, I love messing with Grace. So Grace is the boss. And poor Grace has to put up with me more than any of the other conversations.
It's all good. It's all good.
She's trying to keep me focused, but
it doesn't work. We're gonna keep trying.
You mean to tell me there ain't no way?
All right, y'all. So on this segment, super quick ones, but it's about summertime. Oh, why are you pointing at me? I see you.
No, she's.
I was like, why did this video started?
Oh, it already played. What do you mean? We good?
Yeah, we just thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it, but when I pointed, it hadn't.
Oh, okay. Oh no, Sybil, you always do this to me.
You did it to me too, Grace.
Oh my goodness. Anywho, my ain't no ways are about summer. So it's summertime. I live in Texas. If you know anything about Texas, you know that there's 1 million mosquitoes during this time, and they suck. And I have little kids too, and I don't like spraying them with DEET all the time. It's just not a thing for me. So I've learned that if you are in an area where wind is blowing, so if you plug in fans around your area, your general play space, the mosquitoes won't really hang out there. They don't like it. They can't handle the wind. So we just put a big industrial fan right where we're playing outside or where we're hanging out. And we have them because I lived in Pendleton and we didn't have AC, okay? So I kept them and we use them for our bugs now. You can also use a bubble machine. Bubble machines produce air, and the bubbles themselves keep the mosquitoes away because they don't have the wetness of them in the air. So a fan or bubble machine, and those are super cheap. You can get them anywhere. So if you just put a couple of those around you, you're good to go for the summer. You can enjoy your margaritas or your book, your self-care, hang out outside, get some sunlight, and not get bit up. And then the next thing is ice cream for this is empty, don't worry. For the summer. So this is the really cheap one, but when you buy the really good kind of ice cream, it kind of gets hard. It gets really hard in the freezer, and like you gotta like dip your scoop in hot water to, you know, scoop it out and stuff. But if you get your ice cream and you get a Ziploc bag, right when you buy it, when you get home, you're gonna stick it in there. Hold on, I haven't tried this size yet. You stick it in your Ziploc bag, you close it up, get all the air out, all of it, as much as you possibly can, super, super tight, and you stick it in your freezer. There's no frost or anything on the inside, and it will be completely soft when you scoop it. So no fighting with your ice cream, no breaking scoops or cones or anything doing it. Just stick it in a bag, and you're good to go.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So that is it. That's my no way. And I learned this the hard way because my kids will be screaming at me, and I'm like, it's not melted. Let me put it in the microwave. It's the whole thing. So just stick it in a bag, and you're good to go.
Cool.
That's a good one. I'm gonna try that this week when I go buy ice cream.
Do it. Now it's not gonna work if it's like already hard, and then you put it in the bag. You got to do it like when you come from the store, put it in there, because then it stays in that state.
My ice cream don't last long enough, girl. It's gone before it even get a chance to get hard. And I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have ate that whole thing. I ran out, so I have to go back and get some more. That's a great tip, though.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes. I'm going to try that, Grace.
Good. I'm glad. Are you going to take me off a big screen? I really don't like it. It's so awkward.
You should. It look good.
Thanks.
But I am going to let you talk about June social hour. Are you ready?
No.
I am putting Grace on the spot.
You already talked about our
slide up and like, you did?
You did.
No, I didn't talk about June social.
Okay, go ahead.
I didn't say anything about what it's about.
No, you just said that they can come talk to us. No, you didn't say what it was about, but you said that they can come talk to us. But anywho, for Thursday of this month, June 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, you can join us in the conversation where you can be on screen with us. You can talk to us live. It's in our own little tea room. So things live streamed. Whatever happens there, that's talked about, it stays there. And we're going to be talking about navigating life when your spouse is away. And I want to make sure you guys are hearing this right. It's navigating life when your spouse is away. So that doesn't mean military. It doesn't mean just deployments or TDYs or anything. It means away, period. So whatever your spouse works in, you can come join us and talk about how you navigate your life when they're away. Because everybody lives a different life and not everybody's military. So we want the whole community to come in and talk about it. So join us June 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern. I see you kind of in the background, but I can't hear you, Sybil.
Sorry, I muted myself because Tiana was barking. All right, so I was going to say, if you go to our website, millspouseconversations.com, and click on that event tab, you will see the registration right there. So go ahead and register. Don't wait. Don't say you're going to wait till June 21st. No, go ahead and reserve your spot today. Don't be tardy to the party. Don't miss the bus, because we're not going to circle back. We're not. All right, ladies. We're back on. Here, Grace, I will take you off the big screen.
Thanks, Sybil. I appreciate it. No, I just think this conversation was really needed. I don't really hear much about geo-baching in the mil-spouse space, unless, like I said, it's like a post on Facebook and, you know, people trying to get answers, right? So it's really cool that we get to have this space where we can actually talk about it and our opinions on it, our experiences on it, the whole thing. Is there anything else you guys can think of that might affect someone's choice to Geo-bach, whether it's like pro or con to it?
I thought it was interesting in that when you brought up about the social hour, people that aren't in the military, because I have so many civilian, friends whose spouse that works somewhere else, during the week, or they have to travel all the time and they're always gone. I mean, I give kudos to them because I don't know how they do it, and they don't have that option of the BAH or whatever. They are where they are, and then their spouse goes where they need to go for their job. So yeah, that would be interesting to hear from people in that situation.
That's very true. I think too, like oil field families and stuff, when they're like out on shore duty and all that stuff, they do those things too. And my grandma, her husband, my grandpa, he was doing that too for a while. So I know they lived apart, for a good amount of time. So it is very interesting. A lot of people do it. It's not just military.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of people do it. You have the oil industry, you have
over the road
salesmen, truck drivers. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes you just need to talk about it. Get that other perspective. Now, as far as the BAH aspect of geo-batching, I don't look at BAH as a separate entity of my paycheck. It is, but it isn't, right? Like, I know what my BAH is for whatever location, but I don't say I'm trying to think how to say this so I don't sound too crazy.
Well, when comparing how much someone makes, if they were doing a similar job, they would make more in the military if you count the BAH. So
I don't know about that one. I take it differently. I take it as BH isn't really an added benefit. It's part of the paychecks, but it's listed as something else. Because listen, my husband right now, they're doing a training or whatever, right? He's working 17 days straight, not coming home. He's not earning overtime. He's not earning anything else. He's still getting his same basic check with BAH included. We don't live on base, so that money all comes to our account and then we pay for our house. So to me, at least, and I think this is kind of how Sybil sees it too, it's just part of the pay, but it's labeled BAH because the intention of that part of the money is for housing, and you have the ability to use it specifically for housing on a base. But it doesn't give you, it's not like a bonus on top of your income. Because if you take BAH out, I mean, my husband makes pennies compared to the hours that he works. You know what I mean? So yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah. So Laura said he's making $12 per hour for all his overall pay. That's exactly what it is. Yes, it's BAH, it's housing, but it's part of the pay is the way I see it, and I know that's very like a controversial thing, and it's very hot in the civilian world too. People are like, oh, but your housing's paid for, and not really.
There are industries that pay supplemental housing, but for me, I think that because I was in the military and I actually got the BAH myself, that I can't see it as being together, like ever. Like it's always tarnished for me because I actually got it like in my paycheck. So I know that it's not, because if you move to Arizona, you're not going to have the same BAH as if you move to Virginia. But you're not going to have the same BAH if you move to Hawaii. You're not going to have the same BAH if you're an E5 or an E4 or 01 or 06. So kind of like, to me, it's always separate because ever since I got out on my own, my rent is separate. I don't know. I feel like my rent is a whole vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like my rent is a vibe. It's a whole thing on its own. Like the rent is this much. So the BAH is this much. And the bills are this much. So can I cover all my bills and my rent with my BAH? You know what I mean? Because when you live on a base, you don't get it. When you live on a base, you don't get BAH. You get it, but you don't get it.
But it's automatically taken. Yeah.
They automatically take it and you don't see any of it. But when you live out in town, you get the full benefit and you get it like in your paycheck. And you're the one who has to pay the rent. So we very rarely stay on bases. But I think if you stay on the base, then Sybil, yeah, in your mind, you're like, I ain't getting nothing anyways. You know, because it comes in and you don't see it. You never see it.
But even staying out in town for me, and we don't like we're in military housing here because my husband was like, oh, I want you to be, I want people to be able to look out for you. I'm like, dude, I'm fine. But that's a whole nother story. Like in Virginia. So we have a house in Virginia right now. And when we were looking to buy that home, we were like, okay, this is the BAH. But we knew what we wanted was gonna be a little more than BAH after we, looked at taxes, paying utilities, all of those things. And so I just look at, okay, this is the paycheck every month. I don't separate it out, BAH, non-BAH. And Angela, to what you said, and this is, we're going off a little beaten path a little bit on talking about geo-batching, but this is important when it comes to geo-batching. So the housing increase, there is a housing allowance increase, right? And Angela's here in San Diego with me. And being in military housing, once you hit that increase, you're like, oh man, I want that money in my pocket. Why is housing taking that money? Regardless if there's an increase or not, housing is going to take the money. And I will tell you, we have looked out in town for housing. Our BAH would not cover, and our house here is not large, but if we went out in town, the BAH would not cover this house. It wouldn't cover the utilities. We would be paying out of pocket. So I'm like, hey, you want to take that extra dollar amount? Fine. I am still saving money if you want to look at it that way.
Well, yeah.
But for me, yeah, it's like, this is our paycheck. What do we have?
See, that makes sense because to me, I'm always trying to stay on my cap unless I'm working, and then I don't care. So I try to stay in his cap, but if I have a job, I really don't care if we exceed the cap or not, but I still apply that to, like, mentally, I'm still like, this is the money for the rent. This, you know what I mean? And I judge it accordingly. So when I see the money hit the account, I'm like, in my mind, automatically that money is like, oh, that's the money for the rent. You know what I'm saying? This part is for the rent. This part is for the bills. And when you stay in housing, to be fair though, you do get, in some places, you do get unlimited water, unlimited, electricity, unlimited everything, you wouldn't get. You get garbage disposal, all the stuff I'm paying for out here. I'm like, I don't mind paying for it because I like my house, or my apartment, but you know what I'm saying? You do get a lot of unlimited stuff. So that's what I would say. But
I think we definitely found our next hot topic. I think there's a lot to break down in BAH, and not a lot of people understand it. And I think we all have different perspectives on it too. So
yeah, because it's even when you get overseas, it's OAH. It's overseas housing, OHA, overseas housing allowance. And then it spreads across the spectrum. So it's like, are you enlisted? Are you lower ranking enlisted? Are you higher rank? It's just so variable, like as to what you can and cannot afford. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because here we can afford a substantial amount geo-batching in both places. But like, when
wait a minute, Nishida. So but if you're geo-batching, you're only getting one BAH, right?
See, that's what Nishida was saying earlier. She said no.
I mean, if you say so, I don't know. That's not how I understood it. But I mean, I've never understood it to be that way. But I'm not versed on it. I don't really. I'm not good at keeping up on military spouse stuff. After my husband reached 30 years, I entered retirement.
Okay, because
So I'm not up on a lot
so
of
from my understanding with BAH or with Geo-bach, and BAH is paid at the rate of the new duty station, not both.
Yes. That's my understanding as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I asked you. Like, wait a
I'm
minute.
not here to argue with nobody. I don't know the rules for real, girl. I'm just living a life.
Oh, talking about living the life, we need to play our game show. So, hey, folks. I said, folks, to everyone watching this show, we're going to go into our game show. Oh, first, let's get our contestants. Who's going to be our contestant? Anna's looking like she is bored. So, Anna, you are contestant number 1, just because you looking like you bored.
Sounds good.
Anna.
Yes.
Oh, hey. Am I supposed to be up here? Am I playing?
Yeah, you're playing. Oh, you need to be over here.
Yeah,
you are playing. I am trying to get my life together. All right, so for all of our viewers, play this game with us because you can win something special from Meal Spouse Conversations. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Not yet. It's circling on my end.
I know. I'm seeing it circle. Like, come on.
There it is.
All right. Name the military term or acronym. Are you ready? Okay, Nashida and Julie. Don't help them. Don't you help them. They have 30 seconds. Go. Name compensation for housing outside the U.S. when government quarters aren't available.
Oh,
OHA.
COLA. B. No, is it COLA?
It's C.
Anna said B.
I did say B.
It's C. Overseas housing allowance. Yes? It has to be because BH is.
It is C.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wait, why does it say A?
Yes, overseas housing allowance.
Oh, the answer. Got it. Maybe.
Oh, I forgot to change the letter. It's
Typo.
That's funny. Overseas housing allowance.
OHA.
Compensation
Overseas
service
housing
members
allowance.
receive for housing.
Compensation service members receive for housing outside the U.S. when government quarters aren't available. My bad, y'all. I had the right acronym wrong. It happens. It happens. And from what I understand of OHA, you use it or lose it.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct on that?
What do you mean by that? You can only get it if they let you. You can't opt in or out.
No,
Like you can opt
that
in.
whatever your max is, whatever your amount is, you use the full amount and you will get the full amount. It's unlike BAH here, right? That if your BAH is $1,000, but you find a house for $400, that you get to pocket the $600. Nah. If your rent is only $600 or only $400, you only get $400 for the OHA.
Yeah.
So cap it out. Yeah?
Yep.
Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm passing it back to Grace.
Oh, back to me. Well, I think we hit all of our questions, honestly. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add. But like I said before, geobashing is its own big discussion in itself. You may never have to even think about it. Some people don't have those type of orders that come up, or maybe your family dynamic doesn't really need that. But it is something to learn about just in case that situation does come up. But I think we covered everything. We talked about what geobashing is, how BH plays a role, why do it, and then things to consider when that does come up. So if anybody else has anything else to add.
Oh, I do have a question because I missed the first part. Did y'all discuss the difference of geobaching and unaccompanied orders?
I think we touched very briefly kind of like what like geobaching isn't unaccompanied. Well, it is, but it's not the choice of geobaching is what we talked about.
So my husband's on unaccompanied. He's a geo-bachelor.
Mhm.
He's the G. It's like they're a geo-bachelor.
Yes.
Mhm.
They're on geo-bachelor orders. So
Yeah.
my husband is unaccompanied. He's a geo-bachelor.
Yeah.
That's how I understood it.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Unaccompanied is, right?
Yeah. Unaccompanied, you don't have the choice. They are the geo-bachelor. Now, if it's regular orders and you're choosing to geo-batch, which means you're choosing
still
to stay in a different place.
Because they still have to write them geo-bachelor orders.
Right.
Still,
so in the Marine Corps, that's not a thing. If it's unaccompanied orders, you're automatically a geo-bachelor.
Oh, automatically.
Yeah. If you have regular PCS orders where your family is allowed to go with you and you're choosing not to go, then you are on your own for all financial responsibility.
Yes.
Really?
And that's the same with the Navy too. That's why I asked, oh, you're getting BAH for both locations. So then he's on an unaccompanied. That you couldn't go regardless.
Yeah, I couldn't go regardless. So, but we chose that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. So unaccompanied orders are geo-bachelor.
Yes, unaccompanied
going
automatically. Yeah, that's the difference. Unaccompanied is automatic when you have regular PCS orders and you're choosing to stay elsewhere, then you are financially.
So if say he was like, okay, I'm gonna go to I'm gonna get orders in Virginia and then I'm gonna get orders here and I'm gonna leave and go to Ann Arbor. I have to pay my own rent here, or we have to pay our own rent here.
Yes, if you have the ability to go with them, but you're choosing not to. Yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. See?
That's a good clarification because I never heard of that before.
Yeah. And I know
I've been in the military since I was 16 years old.
So. I noticed, Nishida, you said you chose unaccompanied, and I think that's something else.
Well, you know, when you go where he went, you could get one or the other.
Yeah, and so I was going to say,
actually didn't go, so automatically it was the other, unaccompanied. We had the option to go, could have went. I just decided I didn't want to go. So it's like it's not like he had to go. He didn't have to go.
So like, then you're choosing.
He did not have. The military didn't give him unaccompanied orders. He said, "I want to go unaccompanied," and they said, "Okay, here's your unaccompanied order."
Got it. Okay, so you guys did choose unaccompanied. Okay, yeah. So I
chose it. It wasn't mandatory.
Right. Yeah, and so I see that. So like my husband, when he was able to take overseas orders unaccompanied. Accompanied for an extended period of time, or he could shorten it to only 2 years if he went unaccompanied. So that's a whole nother thing too. If that is an option, then you can choose unaccompanied orders and geo-batch, where that will be taken care of by the military. But if you chose regular accompanied orders overseas and chose not to go, then we are paying for it on our own.
Yeah, who would do? I don't know. Well, no, that's not true because some people, like some spouses, not necessarily, you know, some men, some women, their spouse, they choose to pursue their careers, or they have another career. Like some people are flight attendants. They can't just move everywhere. They have to be in some geographical location sometimes, you know, and then some people are like, well, I want to pursue higher education, or I want a corporate job, or they're making, you know, they're making strides in their career field and they just choose not to go.
Yep.
But I feel like the
But-
military shouldn't penalize
Yeah,
them.
but that would still be considered. That's still considered geo-batching. You're choosing not to go.
Not
So
to go on a
Yeah,
company.
but if you're not gonna
You're-
get like paid, if you're gonna lose out and somebody you're gonna have to pay both. Like one of the I don't know, I feel like that's a penalty. That's
It
not
is. It definitely is,
That's
and
a
that's
whole
the big.
nother topic.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a whole other topic. Yes, it is. All right. So look, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because we will keep talking. We'll be 3 hours later. We're still talking, but make sure to tune in on the third Thursday of this month, which is June 15th, and we will be chatting more about BAH. Yes, y'all, we're gonna talk about BAH on the third Thursday. But so if you are not following us on social media, make sure you connect with us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Parade Deck. We're everywhere. So just connect with us. Join our Facebook group where we like to talk over there too. We like to talk everywhere. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you. See you later. Bye.
Go wash your faces. Get that self-care in.
I'm gonna wash my eyelashes.
Dude, wash those lashes.
The mic